Shalom, shalom, peaceful vibrations. Hope everyone's having a wonderful tune-up, man, however you get it. That's all we're going to do is keep getting it, man. What you see here is the full manifestation. You know, we talk about a house. We talk about a powerful leader. You know, this house right here is leadership. You know, they are, they have a much greater effect than they can ever imagine on me and my home. You know, when I watch them and I see, this is the Battle family. Every time you hear me talk about the Battle family, got our sister Ty Battle, she's rocking the drop. She wants us to read the back of the shirt. If they can't tell us who we are, how can they tell us who we're not? Love to this family, man, rocking the drop nation. Love to CJ Battle, man. That's CJ, man. You know what I mean? We've been rocking to the music. Can't wait to get this radio popping live, and it's going to be a beautiful thing, rocking with this King CJ. I mean, this family is going to build with us in so many incredible ways, especially when we talk about the land and being land bound and Choose Up Village. This the brother that hit me up and said, man, Choose Up Village, CUV, keepers of the Cove, keepers of the Cove, CUV. So we're land bound, man. And love to the Battle family, man, just for, doing this just to lift us above the barrier, man, and show us what it's like, man, being hijacked free as a family, as a unit. It's beautiful, man. This keeps us going. This keeps me going. HAWA to the family. HAWA to the tribe. Fair use. And they caboose, bro. We're just going to do some criticism, some comments and all that. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're getting into this HAWAshua. HAWAshua. Joshua. They call him HAWAshua, Yehoshua, Yeshua, Jesus. Oh, no, man. We got to get back to the root of it all, man. Home team, love to the tribe. Because when we talk about this HAWAshua, we're talking about the what? The seed. The sprouting seed, man. Go ahead and Google sprouting seed and see what you come up with. See what images of the sprouting seeds you find. Oh, shit. All right. Sprouting seeds, sprouting seeds. What does it mean to be a sprouting seed? When we dig on the paleo and the picto. What does it mean when we're digging on our paleo and we see the son of NUN? The sprouting seed. NUN, NUN, Joshua, son of NUN. HAWAshua. HAWA. You're talking about the continuance, the air, the sun, the seed. So this is the seed we're talking about, leading us to our promised land, restoring our covenant with our creator, our land. And they took our Mashiach and they said, remix. Now we got two Joshuas, but which one do you believe in? See, there's a Joshua you've been given, and there's a Joshua that you got to find, man. I mean, there's a sprouting seed, a continuance, an heir, an inheritance you got to find, because this Joshua here, man, let me tell you, led you to your land, divided you into tribes, allotted the lots, took all the giants, no matter what color they were. Oh, we're going to dig on it. And all that's here, and this Joshua has kicked up a lot of dust, and when you get back to the Moabite series and all that, man, and you get all this drop. Oh, yeah, we're going to get into all that. We got some Quetzalcoatl drop. We got some Joshua drop. We're going to get back in the Book of the Beginnings. Love to Paco. We're dropping us on this Huey mock, HAWA mock. We're talking about Moshe in the Book of the Beginnings. I'm trying to get a PDF on that, because we're getting the foundational Moshe, Meshi drop. Yehoshua, and it came to be when the entire nation had completely passed over the Jordan, that HAWA spoke to who they say HAWAshua, we know as HAWAshua, saying, take for yourselves 12 men from the people, 1 man from every tribe. Stop. So this Joshua has 12 men too? Y'all couldn't even be original in the New Test. Remember, they brought that Jesus to you. This God of war is their God of war. Their Messiah, their anointed one, is the one that gave them the power to invade you. So you have to search and get the babies out. And oh, the white man wrote this book and wrote that book. Yeah, the white man put a twist on it. And what happened? One day you'll awaken. One day the books will be unsealed. One day you'll be able to see your Mashiach. Because they hate, they disdain, they loathe Joshua. Oh, the Moabites and the Ammonites and the Amalekites and everyone who made their Psalms 83 confederacy. Oh, they loathe this Joshua. Because this Joshua tell you like it is, man, get down and lay down. This is the Creator's turf. This ain't Moors on Mars. This not the land, the celestial land of Mars. This is not that land, air, and water, love to Giannini. But we're just talking about a territory thing, man. If you're from Mars, be on Mars. Joshua said, hey, man, look, man. You have to bounce up out of this spot as you've been told by order. This is not about the permission of the pharaohs, Jack. This is not about the permission of the pharaohs, man. This is the Creator's land, not the pharaoh's land. The pharaohs did not create this land. So they are hijacking it. This energy, this 440 in the king's chamber. So this is Joshua chapter 4. Let's get it. And it came to be when the entire nation had completely passed over the Jordan that Hawa spoke to HAWAshua, saying, take for yourselves 12 men from the people, 1 man from every tribe. Yeah, man. Oh, the 12 apostles of Jesus, right? It's all in the Joshua story already. And command them, saying, take for yourselves 12 stones. Now it's going to make sense. It wasn't just about finding, fishers of men. The fish god Zeus needs fishers of men. Nah, this Joshua took 1 man from every tribe as commanded by Hawa, this HAWAshua, saying, take for yourselves 12 stones from here out of the midst of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet stood firm, and you shall bring them with you and leave them in the camp in which you spend the night. And HAWAshua called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the children of Israel, Israel, 1 man from every tribe. And HAWAshua said to them, pass over before the ark of Hawa into the midst of the Jordan, and each one of you take up a stone on his shoulder according to the number of the tribes of the children of Israel, so that this shall be a sign in your midst when your children ask in time to come, saying, what do these stones mean to you? Right now, you're so disconnected, and everyone says it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter who we were. But I ask you, they can't tell us who we were. How can they tell us who we are? If they can't tell us who we are, how can they tell us who we're not? It matters when they label you. It matters when they take you out your frequency and make you a byword in the proverb. So there shall be a sign in your midst when your children ask in time to come. In the future, when you ask, saying, what do these stones mean to you? Then you shall answer them that the waters of the Jordan, or Jordan, were cut off before the ark of the covenant of Hawa, when it passed over the Jordan, or Jordan. The waters of the Jordan were cut off, and these stones shall be for a remembrance to the children of Israel forever. And the children of Israel did so. So HAWAshua commanded and took up 12 stones from the midst of the Jordan, or Jordan, had spoken to HAWAshua, according to the number of the tribes of the children of Israel, and took them over with them in their camp and laid them down there. HAWAshua set up 12 stones in the midst of the Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priests who bore the ark of the covenant stood, and they are there to this day. They are there to this day, and the priests who bore the ark stood in the midst of the Jordan until every matter was finished that Hawa had commanded HAWAshua to speak to the people according to all that Moshe had commanded HAWAshua. And the people hastened and passed over. And it came to be, when all the people had completely passed over, that the ark of Hawa and the priests passed over in the presence of the people. Now we're talking Mashiachs, man. How the Most High was rocking this close. Everything he did. It was not any, messaging, passing of messages. It was a direct connection between HAWAshua and Hawa, the breath, the air, the seed, the sprouting seed. What is a sprouting seed to you? What is a continuance? What is an heir to you? Sprouting seed, continue, heir, son. Now you have another son. So you have to choose your Joshua, is what it's looking like it's coming down to. And if you're just jumping around with that New Testament Joshua and you're calling it Yahawashai and all this other shit that has to do with that Jesus and that story that you're being brought to, you're being hijacked out of the frequency of your Joshua, who himself took 12 mighty men from each tribe to plant you firm on your land, restore your land, and everybody hates him, and everyone's not paying attention to him. No one's paying attention because it's out of your consciousness. Because when you link this Joshua to you and right here, then your promised land sparks up inside of you. Your Ruach lights up with that land that you're already standing on. Which is why Martin Luther King himself said that these Negroes find themselves in exile, forced out on their own land, slaves. Are you homeborn slaves, Hawa Israel? Oh, we're going to be back in this paleo, man. We're going to be back in this paleo. We're just talking sprouting seeds and sons of NUN. We're just talking sprouting seeds and sons of NUN. Man, let's go. Love to the tribe. Let's get this, man. A few minutes on this, man. And, this is just for perspective. We're getting back into that Abyssinia, that Prester John. Obviously, we got to establish HAWAshua. Same way we established in Prester John. It's all connected. It's all the mighty knights. We're only talking about the, the children. And it's all connected to your inheritance today. You are the seed. You are the sprouting seed. The earth is your turf. And that's what it's coming down to. Let's go.
That we will not give. Lion of Judah, I don't know where to begin.
Lion of Judah, I don't know where to begin. This is how they used to address you. This is perspective. Wakey, wakey. Let's go.
Rise up, There is nothing you may ask for that we will not give. Lion of Judah, I don't know where to begin. You have our friendship. Begin there. Certain runaway slaves have escaped from us into your kingdom.
Slaves go back, as you no doubt would return our slaves to us.
There are, however, some free men among them. Rebels.
Rebels? If there's disturbance in Arabia, why am I not informed?
They are rebels in religion.
At one time or another, all religions were rebellions. The bodies of slaves are of the world and within our disposal. But as Jesus Christ is our shepherd, The souls of men are his sheep.
These are Arabs who have betrayed.
Jesus Christ, let's hear that again. You know what I mean? Love to the family that dropped this on us, because we're seeing in real time how they're portraying the drop, but who's writing this shit? Of course, we still got the Hollywood shit, so we know who's writing it. It's not coming from him, but we're also seeing something very mighty that these, you know what I'm saying, Arabians, we know what the real Moor Arabians were looking like, and they weren't looking like this, but they couldn't show you all the drop. So you have to put this on perspective of a melanated person and another melanated brother having a conversation. And just like Prester John had the Sultan paying him tribute, this is how it was going down. They don't want to show you that right now. That's the perspective we're getting. All this Jesus Christ, okay, we're going into which Joshua would he really be rocking with? Would he be rocking with some Christos that was brought to him on his turf? Some Zeus, some swine coming to his land? Or would he be rocking with his HAWAshua, his actual Mashiach? So, you know, we dodging the hijack. But let's get that again. He said, Jesus Christ.
Of the world and within our disposal. But as Jesus Christ is our shepherd, the souls of men are his sheep.
Joshua was his shepherd.
These are Arabs who have betrayed the religion of their fathers. They follow a lunatic they call a prophet.
But I cannot put souls into chains without hearing them.
Okay, so we're inside the house of Judah. These Arabians, these Moors came to them with an issue. So he said, all right, I need to get to the bottom of it. Let's go.
Their stiff necks will hang them.
Do you not bow yourselves before your prophet?
Muhammad is a man. We kneel only to God.
Where are Muhammad's miracles, Jafar? If he were a prophet, he'd light the sky with miracles.
Indeed, this is true. God has given his prophets the sign of miracles, that we may recognize them.
The miracle of Muhammad is the Holy Quran.
A book! A book!
Alright, so they admit that this guy came in the 700s with no signs, no miracles, but he has some written stuff. Alright, now, you know what I'm saying? Of course, you know these people, what they really was looking like. So put yourself in the right perspective. But this is interesting, man. An interesting convo happening.
Written by an illiterate, attributed to God. I think the emperor has had enough.
I'm mindful of Pentecost, when God sent down tongues of fire upon the heads of Christ's apostles, so they could speak the many languages of the world that they knew not before. But do such miracles happen in our times? I've heard enough.
All right, so remember, this is taking place in Africa, so we know they're hijacked over there with this Christos. You know, this Coptic, Ethiopic is going on over there, so, all right, you already know what the hijack is.
You've made a poor case.
When we suffered persecution in Mecca, Muhammad told us, go to Abyssinia, the land of a righteous king, where no man is wronged.
What they called persecution was fair punishment. Their disorder and their...
Why did your prophet send you to me?
Because you believe in the book of the one God as we do. He sent us because in your heart God will protect us.
Talking with him is like drawing water from a mirage.
But they've now laid a duty on me to listen to them, my friend. Go on.
For years, we worshipped wood and stone, images of our own manufacture. We lived in ignorance of God. We had few earthly laws and no heavenly laws. The rich neglect the poor, and the natural pity of man, whereby he lifts his brother up when he has fallen, is described by them as upsetting social order. To this inhumanity has come a man whom God chose, and in that we believe.
You're overcome. I beg you to collect yourself.
I speak of the messenger of God. Muhammad teaches us to worship one God, to speak truth, to love our neighbors as ourselves, to give charity. Even a smile can be charity. To protect women from misuse, to shelter orphans, and to turn away from gods of wood and stone.
I cannot keep still and hear this blasphemy. We are an ancient civilization. To call our gods wood and stone is to speak ignorantly of them. The idol, the form, is not what we worship, but the spirit that resides within the form.
I agree that
Wow, so you have a hijacked Christos, you know what I'm saying, Judah situation going on with this Arabian, you know, trying to let them know that Muhammad is all bringing peace when you know the truth of all the slaves and the, you know what I'm saying, sub-Saharan, you know, slave trade, the Arabian slave trade that's happened for over 13 centuries, man. But even with all that and all the documents on Muhammad's slaves and all the, you know what I'm saying, cruel, you know what I'm saying, treatment that was coming out of this, you know, time period of getting their feet cut off and all the stuff when you research the Arabian slave trade. Then you have the pagan who's saying, look, man, you know, we worship wood and stone, but it's really the energy inside of it. So you have that three. Now, you wouldn't really be rocking with none of this stuff because there's hijack everywhere you look. So this is like a conversation between three hijack scenarios, yet we're trying to see the drop between, you know, what they were coming to. They still had to come to the line of Judah, even in this state. Let's go.
idolatry is not always fully understood.
Thank you. Now let me bring him back to the women.
So he was cool with the idolatry. Look.
Thank you.
He
Wood and stone is to speak ignorantly of them. The idol, the form, is not what we worship, but the spirit that resides within the form.
I agree that idolatry is not always fully understood.
Wow. I agree that idolatry is not fully understood. So the more I watch this, the more I see how hijacked this shit is. I agree idolatry is not fully understood, so it's all good, man. Idolatry is cool. He gives him a pass, and the dude, the idol worshiper, the pagan says,
Thank you.
thanks.
Now let me bring him back to the women.
God made woman to be the proper companion of man. She is different, but equal.
Equal! We buy them. Feed them, clothe them, use them, discard them. Women equal to us?
God created man from one male and one female. You must respect in all women the womb that bore you.
Why are your 300 gods so tongue-tied, while his only god is eloquent?
God has spoken to us before. Through Abraham, Noah, Moses, and through Jesus Christ. Why should we be so surprised that God speaks to us now through Muhammad?
Who taught you those names?
They are named in the Quran.
I knew Muhammad when he was an orphan minding sheep.
And we knew Christ as a carpenter.
Wow. So if you accept this Christos, this Jesus, this Zeus, you might as well accept Muhammad. So you see it's all linked together. So the Christian is now linking with the Mohammedan. And these dudes like, man, I know this dude, man. I know him. So this must be happening around the 700s, I guess. I mean, if the dude says he knew him, right?
They are named in the Quran.
I knew Muhammad when he was an orphan minding sheep.
So he knew Muhammad when he was an orphan. So this has to be around the 700s according to their timetable.
And we knew Christ as a carpenter. What Christ says and what your Muhammad says is like two rays from the same lamp.
They are lying to you. They deny Christ.
Wow. Man, y'all watching this with me, man. Love to the fan that dropped this. I remember I saw this, but I didn't really listen like I'm doing now. So, man, so he's saying Muhammad and Christ are the same shit. Hijacking, destroying the people the same way.
What Christ says and what your Muhammad says is like two rays from the same lamp.
They are lying.
Two rays of sun. Sun. You get that? The sun. Two sun-worshipping rays from the same lamp, the same source. He just gave you all the drop.
To you. They deny Christ. You worship three gods, they say. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, they say.
What do you say of Christ?
They say God cannot have a son. Christ is not the Son of God.
Speak to me of Christ.
We say of Christ what our prophet has taught us. That God cast his Holy Spirit into the womb of a virgin named Mary, and that she conceived Christ, the apostle of God.
The apostle, he says, not the Son, not the Son.
What does your miracle, your Quran, say of the birth of our dear Lord Jesus Christ?
May I relate the words?
Come closer to me.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Relate in the book the story of Mary, how she withdrew from her family to a place in the east, how we sent to her our angel Gabriel, who said, I am a messenger from your God, to announce the birth of a holy son to you. She said, how shall I, Mary, have a son when no man has touched me? And Gabriel replied, for your Lord says, it will happen. We appoint him as a sign unto man, and a mercy from us. It is a thing ordained.
So they have to agree on Christ out here in Africa. And we here that have been rained on, mutilated, and separated, didn't hear about this shit until they came here and rewrote our words, rewrote our cliches, rewrote and repackaged, and gave us back a new test with a new Messiah, a Christ. So they'll give you some drop, showing you a real power, showing how it really went down in order. But then they'll say these are Christians, and they'll say, oh, Prester John, King David, all Nestorian Christians. Nestor in etymology refers to an old king, renowned for wisdom. So that these people come from a king renowned for wisdom, a wise king, a Solomon, a David, a wise king. That's what Nestorian refers to. So you're going to see that a lot, man. Let's get the last bit. Oh, they're in hijack heaven.
The difference between us and you is no thicker than the slime.
It's the same hijack. And now what they're calling the pagan, the idol worshiper, you know what I'm saying, now has to find his own way. Man, it's crazy, man. Love to the fan that dropped this on me, man. This is, like a battle of hijacks, man. You know, on one end, you know, we're digging on it, but on it, it's shameful, man. It's horrible. You know what I'm saying? When you see that, that's really the scenario that even we find ourselves in today. Muslim, Christian, this, that, you know what I'm saying? Now Valley, this and this, that, and I'm just a Hebrew Israelite from anywhere. But when you put it all together and you know that this Hebrew, this Hebrew runs through these Americas, that's when you connect this HAWAshua, and that's when you connect what they've been saying, that they were ran out. They were ran out by this Ute Aztecan, this Udar Aztecan here, this Udar here. And when you connect that story there, oh boy, man. Love to the fan band, man. I'm gonna drop this link on y'all, man. Let's keep going. So, you know, been surfing this wave, man. The Mormons, you know, they've been, you know, connecting a little bit of this Christus. So, you know, he brings up Christus. I want to hear about this Christus. But I want to hear about this is Zeus. Zeus. There is no J. Zeus. We want to hear about that as they're trying to connect with this land. See, the Mormons want to connect with this land. So they want to connect it through Cuzco too. They want to connect it through HAWAshua. They want to connect this through Joshua. They want to connect it through Cuzco too. Let's go. So, all right, this is the website, fairmormon.org. You know what I mean? I'll drop this. Let's dig on it, man. It says, do Latter-day Saints believe that Quetzalcoatl was actually Jesus Christ? All right. Let me get my water, man. Let me get ready, because, you know, we're going to do some reading. Oh, we're going to read like we never read before. Love to all the beautiful family, man. Love to Catrice Green. She's cancer free. Digging in the frequency. Love to the Green family. Love to Catrice Green. Love to all the family, man, that's choosing up and just seeing wonderful things happen in their lives. And if you ain't seen it yet, you know, stay tuned, man. Keep tuning up. Because it's your frequency. You belong. You belong, my family. You belong. So, all right, whether Quetzalcoatl can tell us anything about the Book of Mormon remains unproven. It is claimed that the Latter-day Saints, or Latter-day Saint scholars, believe that Quetzalcoatl was Jesus Christ. All right, so remember, they came here and they established their religion, but they had to bring in Christ, so they're connecting it to this lawgiver, this priest king that was here. All right, now let's go. Now, we did some of this connection before, but I just want to keep going with it. So, however, since Quetzalcoatl, his association with a feathered serpent, all right, which serpent? Are we talking about the serpent devouring the venomous snakes? Which energy are we talking about when we deal with this mythological serpent or metaphysical serpent? Or comprehension of this English word serpent and how it relates on two different scales and two different lights constitutes snake worship, is what they're saying, right? So some Christians claim that this association is therefore inconsistent with the worship of Jesus. Yeah, man, you can't compare Jesus with a snake, right? But let's keep going. Some LDS authors have seen Christian parallels to Quetzalcoatl. So some see the Christian parallels to Quetzalcoatl. At least some of these parallels were probably imposed, however, by the secondary sources who also sought a Christian connection to native myth. Bang! Hijack 101. So they're putting a Christian connection to native myth the same way they put a Christian connection to this King Negus, this Negus. Naga, snake, serpent devouring the venomous snakes, Nagash, priest king, Nahashi of Abyssinia. We're just talking about Prester John, but they got him over here being hijacked in African Christianity. This was their mythos of Prester John, that he was somewhere in Africa. Yet they were selling boats, looking for him everywhere to get some type of reinforcement against the Moors. They wanted to fight the Muslims. I mean, after they took out the Israelites, you know what I'm saying? Who else was left? They had to conquer everyone who wasn't down with Christianity, right? Enemies of Christ, 1452, dumb Diversas, Papal Bull. So, we're just talking a Christian connection and native myth. Let's go. Quetzalcoatl plays a minor, if any, role in modern LDS apologetics. Critics should not, however, act as if the association of a snake with Christ is completely foreign or strange. Certainly, the brass serpent placed on a pole and raised up by Moses has a symbolic link to Jesus. Oh, so just as this Jesus Christos was going around quoting Moses, damn near word for word, line for line, other than that link, remember he said, I didn't come here to take nothing away from the prophets, but, you know, come through me. Come on, man. So they're saying this snake has something to do with Moses' staff. I remember in the cliches, even in the Quiche, Maya, Quiche, their writings, their reed writings, their writings of the trees. They describe following a shepherd with a staff who is parting waters for them. And that's in the cliches found here. Oh yeah, we're going to get back, you know what I'm saying, reminding us that King James came here in 1603 with 2 patents, including the London Company, and then came back with a 1611 King James Version. But he already came here, him and Charles, before that in 1603, colonized you in America, then came back with a New Testament in 1611, people. Oh, Columbus says he came to the holy city to seize, came to America to seize the holy city. So, yeah, he speaks on Granada. Yeah, he speaks on getting all these records from Jerusalem. He came to America to seize the holy city. Now, let's go. Christian connection to native myth. Oh, but there's a link about this raised up, this pole, this staff raised up by Moses. They can't link it directly to Jesus, but if we go through Moses, it's symbolic. Let's go. Whether Quetzalcoatl could tell us anything about the Book of Mormon, however, remains unproven. Fair Mormon does not at present recommend relying on this thing as evidence. All right. So the legend of Quetzalcoatl is of interest, of a cooperative element in the support of the Book of Mormon, but it is not an element of anybody's belief. All right, so although critics would like to make the LDS association of Quetzalcoatl with Jesus Christ some sort of key elements in an effort to salvage their cherished faith, So they're bagging on Christians. Let's go. The reality is that Quetzalcoatl is rarely, if ever, discussed. So now, oh yeah, we don't even bring them up. You know what I'm saying? Well, they may not, but it doesn't mean that Joseph Smith did. The legend of Quetzalcoatl is of interest as a cooperative element in supporting the Book of Mormon, but it is no means a critical element of anyone's belief. So yeah, forget about it. It's not critical. To us, it's critical because we see that because they're trying to link something to Jesus, what they're really doing is linking it to Moses. And then therefore linking it to Joshua, who is the real anointed Mashiach. Remember, Christ is a Greek word. Get out of their head. Get out of their head. Get out of their head. Your Mashiachs are Israelites. They've never not been Israelites. And they were already here leading you to your promised land here. And you were recently hijacked. You were recently invaded. And all this happened more recent than you think. Wake up. Captivity's over. Connect to your Mashiach. Connect to your sprouting seed. Connect to your sprouting seed. You are the sprouting seed. You are the sprouting seed, the continuance, the heir, the inheritance, the son. Oh, Jacob, you are the firstborn son. You are the sprouting seed. HAWAko. So yeah, no big deal. It's not a critical element, but this association is intriguing to the LDS, as even the critics agree that certain elements of the legend are consistent with the Book of Mormon teaching that Jesus Christ appeared in the New World. This is what they want. This is the whole point. But while they substantiate Quetzalcoatl for them, we can use their substantiation to substantiate Quetzalcoatl for Joshua, because he has to be real if they're connecting him to Jesus, right? I mean, if they're using reality to connect their lie, if they're taking our Joshua and creating their own, even though ours had, hold up, bang. And take for yourselves 12 men from the people, one from every tribe. So our Joshua had 12 men. He quoted Moses too. Your Joshua has 12 men. He quotes Moses. All right, let's go back. Let's see. See what they're talking about. All right. So this is the whole point, is so that they can put this Christos in the new world. In reality, they're putting Joshua in the new world and Moses in not the new world, but the old world. Flip everything, people. Flip everything. They flip the Joshua. They flip the new. Flip it back. They're flipping it on you. Quetzalcoatl was the creator of life. Was he the creator of life? Remember, you're in the mind of a hijack, so you gotta use your own interpretation, right? You gotta use your own energy, your own decipherment. Was he the creator of life, or was he the life? Was he sprouting seed? Was he the sprouting seed? The continuance of life, the air. This is how you have to flip them. He was the creator of life, or he was the son, the sprouting seed of life. Quetzalcoatl taught virtue. Okay. Who's the creator of virtue? Quick. Quetzalcoatl was the greatest Lord of all. All right. Well, he was the Mashiach. Was he the greatest Mashiach of all? He led you to your promised land, man. And you don't care. You care about Jesus. You say Jesus, everything stops. You say HAWAshua, HAWAshua, Joshua. Okay, oh yeah. You're in a different frequency. You're in a different reality. You're in a different matrix. And this one, it's Christ. And this one, it's HAWAshua, the one who chopped down giants to establish your land, man. Quetzalcoatl had a long beard with the features of a, here we go, white man. I mean, I told you the train's never late. I was watching Wonder Woman, you know what I'm saying? And of course, they got a bunch of white Amazon women, because everything they have to inject. But you go to the 1828 Webster Dictionary and you see copper color race is found here as a definition of an American. But this American, this Quetzalcoatl, must be white. And then they said, oh yeah, that's who Montezuma, you know what I'm saying, was expecting to return. That's why he saw the white man. He thought it was Christ. All right. So this hijack's never late. They have to interject, because we're talking about the Mormons. The Mesoamericans believe Quetzalcoatl will return. Who else will return? Who else said they would return? Christ. Will Joshua return? Did Joshua say he's going to come back and whoop some more ass? That's what you might be wanting to look into. All right. So, you know, they're tying all this stuff, the sacrifice, human sacrifice. Come on. And then you read and then you read other drop, and it's like all that human shit came in with their hijack. So, you know, they're digging up bodies out of graves to eat, talking about human sacrifice. You gotta flip all their shit, man. All right. Those who have seen Quetzalcoatl as evidence for Christ's visit to the Americas generally saw the Quetzalcoatl legend as an apostate remnant of the truth. So it's not the whole truth, but it's a remnant. It's a remnant. All right. Let's keep going with this, man. This is another drop we checked on before a little bit, I think. I Have an Answer by David Presley Bowman. Let's just jump into it. John W. Welsh also discusses some interesting unparallels concerning view of the Hebrews in the Book of Mormon. So we're still in the Mormon drop. Let's follow it as follows. View of the Hebrews and unparalleled. 2 Nephi, 2 Nephi 33 and 2. So this is the Book of Mormon. Wherefore they cast many things away, which are written, and esteem them as things of naught. So they cast things away, which are written, and esteem them as things of naught. They just ignore it. The claim has been made. Let's get it bigger. The claim has been made before and has recently been raised again that Joseph Smith specifically copied the main structure and many details in the Book of Mormon from Ethan Smith's 1823 View of the Hebrews. Okay. Alleged parallels between these two books have led some to esteem the Book of Mormon lightly as a thing of naught, since the alleged points of contact are scattered throughout the View of the Hebrews and in some cases are claimed to be quite specific. This assertion becomes plausible only if we assume that Joseph knew Views of the Hebrews quite well and implicitly accepted it as accurate. If he did so, then he should have followed it, or at least should not contradict it on its major points. But this does not turn out to be the case, since several people have pointed out alleged parallels between the Book of Mormon and the View of the Hebrews. Consider the following unparallels that are weakened, if not completely undermined, the foregoing hypothesis. 1. View of the Hebrews begins with the chapter on the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans. It has nothing to say, however, about the destruction of Lehi's day by the Babylonians. 2. View of the Hebrews tells of specific heaven signs that mark the Roman destruction of Jerusalem. Joseph Smith ignores these singular and memorable details. 3. Chapter 2 lists many prophecies about the restoration of Israel, including Deuteronomy 30, Isaiah 11, 18, 60, 65, Jeremiah 16, 23, 31 through 30, 30 through 31, 35 to 37, Zephaniah 3, Amos 9, Hosea, and Joel. These scriptures are essential to the logic and fabric of views of the Hebrews, yet, with sole exception of Isaiah 11, none of them appear in the Book of Mormon. 4. Chapter 3 is the longest chapter in the View of the Hebrews. It produces numerous distinguished Hebraisms as proof that the American Indians are Israelites. The copper color races found here are Israelites. Hardly any of these points are found in the Book of Mormon, of course, because they're tying themselves in, as one would expect if Joseph Smith were using View of the Hebrews or trying to make his book persuasive. For example, View of the Hebrews asserts repeatedly that the 10 tribes came to America via the Bering Strait, which they crossed on dry land. According to the View of the Hebrews, this opinion is unquestionable, supported by the authorities. From their view, the Hebrews claims that the Israelites spread from north to east and then to the south at a very late date. These are critical points for the views of the Hebrews, since Amos 8 and 11 through 12 prophesies that the tribes will go from the north to the east. Population migrations in the Book of Mormon, however, always move from south to north. So maybe they got, one of them is telling the truth. All right. Some white dude could say, look, man, the earth is flat. Some other white dude could say the earth is round. And one of them white boys telling the truth. So, these are things to compare and say, okay, who's telling the drop on? It's got to be case by case. View of the Hebrews reports that the Indians are Israelites because they use the word hallelujah. Here is one of the favorite proofs of the View of the Hebrews, a dead giveaway that the Indians are Israelites, yet the word is never used in the Book of Mormon. Yeah, they use their own shit. Which one is right? Which one? Furthermore, a table showing 34 Indian words and sentence fragments with Hebrew equivalents appears in the View of the Hebrews. No reader of the book could have missed this chart if Joseph Smith had wanted to make up names to use in the Book of Mormon that would substantiate his claim that he had found some authentic Western Hemisphere Hebrew words. He would have jumped at such a ready-made list. Maybe not. So apparently this author really wants to separate these things, But let's go. He would have jumped at a ready-made list, yet not one of these 34 Hebrew Indian words has even the remotest resemblance to the 175 words that appeared for the first time in the Book of Mormon. All right. So, they go back and forth with this, connection. Let me see what I wanted to get. Alright, View of the Hebrews argues that the Indians are Israelites because they knew the legends of Quetzalcoatl. But the surprise here is that the View of the Hebrews proves beyond a doubt that Quetzalcoatl was none other than Jesus. Not Jesus, not Jesus, not Jesus, but Moses. So no one's saying Quetzalcoatl don't exist. No one's saying that they don't have enough foundational legend to prove that, yeah, there is a priest king who goes under that title. This is just a title. We're just still talking priest king. I mean, in all reality, Quetzalcoatl, the priest king, is Prester John, is the same title, the same lineage of what we would call Prester John. It's the same priest king, priest king, priest king. Oh, yeah. I mean... let me get that. Oh, yeah. Raised up by Moses. So, certainly the brass serpent placed on the pole and raised up by Moses has some symbolic link. So, they're connecting it to Moses, but they're still wanting to, have this Jesus connection so that can establish them somehow. And this author, David Presley Bowman, says that the Views of the Hebrews proves beyond doubt that Quetzalcoatl was none other than not Jesus, but Moses. Who could this be but Moses, the ancient legislator in Israel? And then it goes into, before you get too comfortable, copper color race found here, Quetzalcoatl was white. So every source, everything they have to interject, they can say he's a myth, but still say he's white. The one thing they know, even though they don't know shit, is that it has something to do with us. So even if they take their Jesus away, they still can't take that white away. They still have to iconoclast Quetzalcoatl. You could just Google Quetzalcoatl. And then you'll start seeing all the melanin and melanin and the melanin and the melanin and the melanin. He gave laws. I mean, let's just go for it, man. Quetzalcoatl. I don't know how to spell. Yeah. Quetzalcoatl. Images. I'm sure you're going to see some little shitty white images, but for the most part, everything you look at has melanin on it. Everything you look at has a ruddy melanin. Does he look white? I mean, it's not hard, man. You know what I'm saying? When they try to give you this type of shitty images, oh, he's us. We're the gods of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? You dig on it enough. Does he look white? Oh no, but he is being sacrificed like Jesus, ain't he? Well, damn. I wasn't expecting to find all this, but I think we found this before at some point in time. So now you see this sacrifice, this version of a crucifixion with Quetzalcoatl, who is a ruddy brother. Oh no. According to them, Quetzalcoatl was white and he gave laws requiring repentance. Or was he a ruddy brother who gave laws? Was he a Joshua who gave laws? And did they crucify Joshua? I mean, that's not what's written, right? But is it possible? I mean, where are they getting this Joshua needing to be crucified? And why is Quetzalcoatl being crucified? Well, they say, oh, he went away. He said he gonna come back. Or did they just crucify him? Let's go. We're surfing away. Quetzalcoatl was none other than not Jesus, but Moses. So this person relates him to Moses. All right. And then we got Gerald Massey in the Book of the Beginnings, who relates HAWAshua to Moses and Quetzalcoatl to Joshua. And I think that might be a closer connection. gave laws, required repentance, strict obedience, had a serpent with green plumage, brazen, fiery, flying serpent. So we're not just talking about a snake. We're talking about a flying, fiery, flying serpent, man. So every time you keep hearing, oh, the snake and snake people and the serpent, we're talking about damn near a dragon, all right? And that's where you got this Chinese dragon coming from and all this stuff. Yeah, there's good dragons and there's bad dragons, man. I mean, this mythos shit is actually real. All you gotta do is watch a never-ending story. You see a good dragon. Fiery, flying serpent. So this dragon came out of this staff in the wilderness, pierced ears like certain slaves under the law of Moses, appeased God's wrath by sacrifices. You know, but they put that in parentheses because they don't know shit. Was associated with the great famine in Egypt, spoke from a volcano, Sinai. Okay, walked barefoot, removed the shoes, spawned the golden age, 7 years of plenty in Egypt, which has nothing to do, which has nothing to do with Moses, by the way, in parentheses. So they put all the stuff in parentheses. Talk all this shit in parentheses. Besides the fact that the views of Hebrews' explanation of Quetzalcoatl as Moses is inconsistent with the Book of Mormon, is it? Because they seem to be relating him to Christ. None of these hallmark details associated with Quetzalcoatl are incorporated into the account of Christ's visits to the bountiful in the third Nephi. Alright. So you see that this thing that they're dancing around this particular subject. Now, there's a book that I'm dropping right here called Quetzalcoatl by D.H. Lawrence, and I think we dug on a little bit of this before. This is more kind of written in a narrative form, but just kind of go a little bit of story. This is page 291. The book is called Quetzalcoatl. Alright, so the character, we'll go through it, but let's just read what he's saying. He says, Moses, his serpent in the wilderness. She was silent, puzzled, vexed, yet in a way fascinated and dominated. Suddenly, Cipriano gave a loud laugh and reached his hand to her glass, looking across into her eyes. Do you know what it all means, Senora? He said in a curious, mocking-sounding voice, and he lifted her glass, which was still half full of wine. This is your blood. He filled his own glass half full and lifted it. This is my blood. So they have the wine, 2 wine glasses. They lift them. This is your blood. This is my blood. And this glass is the dragon. Listen up. Do you want to know what the dragon is? It is desire. Always desire is the dragon. Good desire is the serpent in the wilderness, all gold. So if you're talking about what you desire, if you desire what the Creator desires, then that is a good serpent, right? That is a good desire. That is a good fiery flying serpent. Fiery flying serpent. That is a dragon. So we're just connecting this. So this is another source going right into the fiery flying serpent. This is my blood, and this glass is the dragon, the fiery flying serpent. We're talking Moses. He brings it up. Moses is serpent in the wilderness. So we're talking about the dragon, the fiery flying serpent. He filled his own glass half full and lifted it. This is my blood, and this glass is the dragon. Do you want to know what the dragon is? It is desire. Always desire is the dragon. Good desire, good desire. Good desire is the serpent in the wilderness, all gold. You have only to look at it and you are strong. Wow. This is the serpent in the glass. The serpent of my desire is the cup of my blood. Then they say the Lord Almighty, we say Hawa, looses the flood, see? And swiftly he pours the wine from Kate's glass into his own. Now what happens when these blood, when this mixing of desires happen? And that creates the vortex. Look. So when you're mixing these desires, there is a vortex. Now what does it mean? Look. He rocked the wine subtly with both his cupped brown hands. So we're talking about a brown man who has brown hands? Look, and the vortex is the mingling and the willing of creation in the cup, the mingling, the leavening, and Hawa in the middle of the Red Sea. Wow. With the Creator in the middle of the Red Sea, dividing the waters of the Red Sea. Look in the hollow of the cup, so that the soul can pass from the Egypt, the bondage, which is the unblessed flesh of me on the other side of the Red Sea of this cup, to Canaan, which is my blessed soul, after its consummation in this cup. Look, the vortex of my blood with your blood, and the Lord Almighty, or the Creator, dividing the flood for the consummated soul to pass on to Canaan of tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Look, look, that is why I must make a vortex. That is why I must drink of the vortex. Look, and he caught the spinning wine with his lips and drank slowly, deeply, leaving only a little wine at the bottom of the glass. Then he spun it around vigorously. There, he said, take it and drink. It's my blood. Drink it. You have my explanation. It is exact. Raymond's covers the whole cosmos. Ramon's covers the whole cosmos. What is that to me? The two explanations are one and the same. But his is the macrocosm, and I am the microcosm. I am the little cosmos. There's my blood in the glass with the serpent of fire, and the Creator poured down the flood of your blood into mine and created the vortex of the Red Sea, in the middle of which he stands, making a way for your soul and mine, his little Israel, to pass into the promised land, HAWAshua, out of the bondage of that old Egypt, bondage, Egypt, of unconsummated flesh. Wow. There you have it all. Drink, drink while the vortex lasts. Drink. What is Elisis to me? This is Mexico. We're only talking the copper color race found here. We're only talking Cuzco, the ruddy copper color man. And we're only talking Mexico. This is Mexico. And I am Hutzipotacti, which is Cuzco. And I know the mysteries. I am the man with the sword. You are the woman bound. There, take the cup and drink. Take it. Bang. So she been talking to Cuzco the whole time. She been talking to Cuzco. They calling him white, bearded. Let's go. Man, so this is a little 3-page drop I found just talking about Joshua. And, you know what I'm saying? We're just talking about a little chronology a little bit. So let's try to fit this in. Looking at the time, this is definitely going to be a 2-part series at least. You know what I'm saying? But I want to get all this out because you got to choose your Joshua. So, man, we got to establish Joshua. I'm here with you. I'm here for you. Let's go. The length of the rule of Joshua and the periods of subjugation in the Book of Judges. This is from Elihu Skates. All right. So, probably a convert. Let's go. Presented here is a straightforward resolution of 2 chronological difficulties related to the biblical period of Judges. Listen up, because we're talking chronology. Presented here is a straightforward resolution of 2 chronological difficulties related to the biblical period of the Judges. First, the length of Joshua's rule is not specified. Secondly, it is not clear from the text whether or not the periods of subjugation by other nations occurred simultaneously with the years of rulership by the judges. So we don't know if these things were happening at the same time. Remember, these medieval people just came and dropped your timelines off 300 years, 1,000 years, 1,800 years, changed the names, who knows what, right? So they have different titles, different names. So it's not clear from the text whether or not the periods of bondage by other nations, we're talking Israel, your bondage, all right? Let's break this down. Let's break it down. Let me get my water. Told you it's going to be a lot of reading, man. I ain't even really got to the text yet that we're going to drop, man. So that's going to be about 40 pages. We're going to read at least maybe 40, 50 pages out of that. Akala. Ah, man. Wow. Let's not go too fast now. It's about to get good. Love to Natural by Law. Powerful energy, man. I was just digging on that Caleb, man. He was digging with the Canaanite, the dog face and all that, man. And wow, because it's going to go right into Caleb here, man. I said that's just pure Hawa, pure water. So it's not clear from the text whether or not the periods of subjugation or bondage of you so-called Negroes by other nations occurred simultaneously at the same time with the years of rulership by the judges. Let's go. Let's go. The traditional interpretation assumes that Joshua ruled for 28 years. That's the traditional interpretation, that he ruled for 28 years. All right, which means that he was 83 when he began to rule, since he lived to be 110 years old. Certain calculations led to this figure of 28 years. So when we're reading HAWAshua, taking the 12 men from the 12 tribes and getting the 12 stones as a marker of the future sign, just know, and we're about to, get into it, you know what I'm saying? But the traditional interpretation means that he's 83. Now, we're going to get this down a little bit to something practical, but that's what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? When Joshua was up under Moses, he was young. He was like, 19, 20 when he was told to go scout out the land, and you know what I'm saying, go scout it out, go scout out the promised land. He was about 20, him and Caleb, man, rocking, man. So this is how long this period went. So the traditional interpretation assumes that Joshua ruled for 28 years, which means he was 83 when he began to rule, since he lived to be 110 years old. Certain calculations led to this figure of 28 years, but it seems that the underlying reason was that for lack of clear information, it was assumed that Joshua was approximately the same age as Caleb, the son of Yefuneh. Caleb was 40 years old in the second year in the desert, or 79 at the time of the entrance into the land of Canaan. So you got the link. You see all the references you can dig on. Go dig on this. It's very, this is just a researcher, dropping some drop. So let's go. This assumption that Joshua was 83 when he had led the Israelites into Canaan requires an additional 24 years to fit into the time span of 300 years mentioned in Judges 11:26 as the one extending from Joshua to Jephthah. These additional years are obtained by assuming that two periods of subjugation, 7 years to Midian, Judges 6:1, and 18 years to the Ammonites, Judges 10:7-8, occurred when no judges were ruling. This was the assumption, given a total of 25 years, which is only 1 year different from the required 24 years. However, the assumption that two, and only these two, out of the 7 periods of subjugation or bondage occurred when no judges were ruling has led to an inconsistent interpretation, since all other periods of subjugation are placed within the time allotted for judges. This has caused disbelief in the validity of the chronology given in the Book of Judges. Moreover, if Joshua was 83 years old when he began to rule, he was 89 years old in his 7th year when he led the army defeating the kings of the south. All right, I mean, we know they got that Dr. Sebi health, man, you know what I'm saying? So that's not, to us, it doesn't have to be some crazy, thing. I mean, that is possible. I can definitely surf that wave that this 90-year-old Superman made it happen. Let's go. He was 89 years old in the 7th year when he led the army defeating the kings of the south and the kings of the north. It is hard to believe that someone aged 89 would be capable of traveling long distances on foot from place to place and then fighting against the enemy. These battles clearly took place in the 7th year of his rule, since Hebron was one of the conquered cities, and we learn that Caleb fought in the battle against Hebron in the 7th year of Joshua. My approach to determining the length of Joshua's rule is presented below. Although the length of Joshua's rule is not specified in the Bible, the number of years can be calculated on the basis of Joshua's age. As we will show, he started ruling when he was 59 and continued to rule until his death at the age of 110. So either way, when the torch got passed to Joshua, he was between 59 and 89, according to these two, particular researchers, and continued to rule until his death at the age of 110. He thus ruled for 52 years. If Joshua, so we'll come back to that and compare it to, little Cuzco drop, and, just see if we can get in the ballpark of lining these things up. If Joshua was 59 when he began to rule, he would only have been 65 in his 7th year. During the battles against the kings of the south and the north, a person in good physical condition could be strong enough to fight at that age. How old he was when he started ruling can be derived from his age in the 2nd year in the desert. At that time, Joshua, Caleb, and 10 other tribal leaders were sent as spies to investigate the nature of the land of Canaan and determine the fortifications therein. When the spies returned, the majority reported that the Israelites would not be able to overcome the inhabitants of the land. Only Joshua and Caleb thought it possible to conquer it. So remember how we got the paleo, how their hearts were so pure for the Creator that they could see nothing but success, with the Creator with them. As a result, the Israelites were disheartened and rebelled. To punish them for the lack of faith, God decreed that all people who were mature, i.e. 20 years of age or older, as defined in Numbers 32:11, at the time of the Exodus, would not live to see the land of Canaan. So if you were over 20, with a couple of exceptions, if you were over 20, you would not see it. Nevertheless, the people continued murmuring against HAWA and were consequently punished even more severely. Now, even those who reached the age of 20 in the 2nd year in the desert, when the census was taken, would not enter the land of Canaan. Only Caleb was specifically excluded from the punishment meted out to those who were 20 at the time of the Exodus, while both Caleb and Joshua were excluded from the punishment inflicted in those who were 20 in the 2nd year in the desert. This proves that Joshua was 19 years old at the time of the Exodus and 20 years old in the 2nd year of the desert, when he was sent to spy out the land. Supporting evidence in favor of this relatively young age can be found in Exodus 33:11, where Joshua is called a young man, Nahar. Since he was 19 at the time of the Exodus, he must obviously have been 59 when he started to rule 40 years later. We can thus verify the years of HAWAshua rule. At the beginning of his reign, Jephthah claims that 300 years have passed since Israelites vanquished Sihon, king of the Amorites. Now, from Numbers 21 to 23 through 26, we determine that the conquest of Sihon occurred after the death of Aaron, and from Numbers 33, verse 38, we know that Aaron died in the 5th month of the 14th year after the Exodus. There is accordingly a 300-year period from the beginning of Joshua's rule until the commencement of Jephthah. This fits in perfectly with the 52-year rule of Joshua. All right. So I'm going to drop that link right quick, because we're going to get into, a little, we're going to look into some more drop on this Cuzco. Got a little more time. We're good for now. Let's see. Because we're about to get into this Book of the Beginnings. I took it all the way back, man, to the top of this chapter called Moses and Joshua, or the two lion gods of Egypt. All right, so this is just part one. You know, I had to set it up. Now we're about to get it. Now let's see what page are we on. We're on page 228. But I want to go to the original drop that Paco dropped on us. Man, love the Paco. On page 262. So we'll go back to 228. Jump ahead to 262 right quick. Pull up the Book of the Beginning.